Thanks so much, Nellie. And this story doesn't just start with the waste dump proposed for Adnyamathanha country. It's been 2 decades where the federal governments have been trying to put waste dumps on Aboriginal land. First in South Australia, that was defeated by the Kupapiti Kungajuda after a 7-year campaign. Then they moved to the Northern Territory, and after 8 years of fighting, the Walmumpa people at Muckaty, they managed to defeat it as well. So I think we can beat this proposal on Adnyamathanha land, but we need people to know this story. We need to know that the traditional owners are saying no, they're united, and we need to build the support in the cities. And it's really important for us here in Sydney because, as Nellie mentioned, the most dangerous of the waste they're trying to take to her country is the waste from reprocessing spent fuel rods from the Lucas Heights nuclear reactor, some 30 k's from here. So we need to know the story of Lucas Heights and what's there and where it's meant to be going. And I'm going to invite Uncle Lyle Davis up now to talk a bit about that.
Hello. My name's Lyle Davis. I'm from the southeast coast, saltwater nation, Black Duck Yuin people. Within there is 13 countries because of 13 sisters. And I'd like to acknowledge that I'm on Gadigal country, which extends from the Hawkesbury down to the Georges River. Now the Yuin Nation extends from the Hawkesbury River down to Lake Tyers, just beyond the line on the map. You know, we have geographical boundaries. Well, that's our geographical boundaries. And Georges River to Shoalhaven River, that's Dharawal country, my mother's country. And then on the far south coast is Walbunja country from Lake Tyers back to Browley, Maruya. That's my father's country. Yuin, Black Duck, saltwater people. Anyway, I'm here to talk about, you know, these bringing the waste and dumping it back into this beautiful woman's country there. What they do, they don't consultate with us, right? What they do, earlier on this year, the French brought over waste product to Port Kembla, put it on a truck, and they drove it through Wollongong, up Mount Ousley, out to Lucas Heights, where they're stockpiling it, and then they're going to drive it across country on the back of trucks. Now, the stupidity behind all that, you know, like shipping it out here, we all know about what happens with oil, you know. Once, you know, you can mop oil up and all that type of stuff, but if that gets into the oceans and whatever, if a ship has a problem out at sea and that, then you get the waste product in the water. You know, all you've got to do is ask Japan what's going on with the built on a quake zone, right? Now, the uranium spillage has gone right across to America and down as far as Chile. You know, how mucked up is it? That's mucked up with an F. Right? The stupidity without consultation. You've got to think back to Maralinga when they bombed the hell out of over there without consultation, without letting the local people out there know what they're doing. They didn't consult with us when they down on between there in my mother's country about they're going to bring in uranium waste products from France earlier this year, right? And they're stockpiling it at Lucas Heights. And then they're going to drive it in trucks down to this beautiful woman's country. You know, it's ridiculously stupendous without consultation from people who are just in it for the money. Like the old mate there was talking about, this is where they first landed. Our people were the first to be done by the butcher's apron. This is where they landed. They went out, and did what they had to do. Back in 1816 was the very first when Governor Macquarie sent out his troops to Camden Picton in that area to massacre. It was to arrest the local Aborigines out there, and if they were to resist, they were to be shot and hung from the nearest tree in order to, they were to be arrested under, prisoners of war. Our Governor Macquarie's words, prisoners of war. And if they were to resist, they were to be shot and hung from the nearest tree to install terror. To install terror into the minds, hearts and spirits of surrounding Aborigines. Now those people that they went out, the very first one in 1816 on the 17th of April was my mother's people. Meanwhile, he was down here sorting out the botanical gardens where his wife can go and relax and looking at the harbour while he was organising troops to go out and massacre people. And like I was saying, with Maralinga, no consultation, no telling them what they were doing out there. What happened to the people? Well, like that, then they go and look at them and see what sort of effect it had on them. People dying and from all different types of radiation poisoning. Babies being born with all different types of problems and issues and everything. And the elders and all the warriors and the women and everybody going blind and all different types of diseases, whatever that comes with. It's a crime against humanity. Crime against the traditional custodians of this continent. Call it a continent because there are several hundred countries in this continent. This one, the Yuan, and this beautiful woman's one out there, where they're going to go and dump this uranium, where they dug it up from in the first place, sold it to other countries, and then they're bringing it back here to dump it back here. How, that is arrogant, ignorant, racist, to say the least. Supreme at its maximum, without consultation to the local traditional custodians. There is not a single space on this continent that does not belong to any nation within. Like I said, several hundred countries within this continent. Not states, countries. Okay? This is what needs to be put out there. Arrogant ignorance by the fascist, racist government that's running this country. We all know Turnbull's a miner. And this idiot up the road here in Macquarie Street, he's pro-mining as well. He signs off everything from coal seam gas to coal mining, and now there's uranium mining going on in New South Wales as well. Right? All they got to do is tick off, then they dig a hole and put it up, and then they stockpile it all around the place and to the biggest bidder on the planet, and then they're going to dump the waste back here. If they want to buy it, bury the waste back in their own country from there, right? Don't bring it back here and dump it back in where they're putting it after what they've done here to this in South Australia. That is arrogant, ignorant racism at its best. Thank you for listening.
Thanks so much, Akula. And all of these campaigns that have stopped nuclear waste dumps and are fighting and have stopped uranium mines have been driven by the traditional owners and the local community, but have been supported by groups around the country. And the group that's organised here today is called Uranium Free New South Wales. People are welcome to come and join the meetings the first and third Wednesdays at UTS. We meet in the foyer at 6 p.m. Come along and get involved, because we need people in the cities talking about this story to amplify the voices from the bush and create that platform for people like Nellie to come down and tell their story to people. So please get involved. And during all these campaigns, critical has been the support of trade unions, health organisations and environment groups around the country. I want to acknowledge some of our comrades from the Maritime Union of Australia that have come down today. Comrades from Darwin used to drive 1,500 kilometres to join us at the rallies in Tennant Creek to say that the waste dump shouldn't be built at Muckaty in the Northern Territory, and that's a fantastic effort. And they have a really good policy of saying that if nuclear waste is to come in and go to Aboriginal land where it's not wanted, then those cartons are going to stay on those ships and people won't unload them. We have another great comrade here. We have another comrade from the National Tertiary Education Union, Genevieve Kelly. I'm going to invite up to speak. Jen's been a staunch anti-nuke campaigner for decades, and she can tell you a bit of that story too.
Thank you, Nat, and I'd like to acknowledge that we're standing on the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, land that was never ceded, and we do that with humility and hope that we can learn something from our elders, past and present. Congratulations to Nellie and Uncle here talking and bringing that story to us, and to Natalie, who has worked with communities every time there's been a proposal to dump this nuclear waste somewhere in Australia. Congratulations. We've won it before, you've won it many, many times, and I reckon if Nellie and her family and Michael and them can't win this, there's something really cracked in Australia. I think they will win it. And what is it that we're trying to get rid of? The Lucas Heights waste, as was said here before, when many people have been campaigning against having a nuclear reactor in Sydney. It's on the waterways, it's on Indigenous land in Sydney. And for many decades, people said, we do not need a nuclear reactor in Sydney. We told lies that we need it for medicine. We do not need it for medicine. Those lies have been told since the 1950s, when the reason they dumped the waste at Maralinga was because Australia wanted to be part of the nuclear fuel cycle. We wanted to have nuclear weapons, and the only way we could get it was taking that horrible waste from the British and putting it there on Indigenous land. And they said it was terra nullius, just count the animals and the blacks with the flora and fauna. It's all come out, it's all there in the inquiries that have been held. If you want to build a reactor or operate a reactor in Sydney, figure out what to do with the waste before you bloody build it. Seriously, what is wrong? What do we tell our children? If you're going to make a mess, you pick it up. If you're going to do this and you want to do it because you want to be part of some nuclear club that is wrecking the earth, you figure out what to do with your mess before you build it, before you operate it. If not, turn off the switch till you can work out what you're going to do with the waste before you despoil other people's land and the land of the Indigenous communities that are part of this land forever. And this is only a short-term measure. Killing off those stories that Nellie was talking about, that lives forever, and we could kill it within a couple of years by dumping waste there. It is just immoral. It needs to stop, and it is great to see, honestly, the NUA is just so great in its consistent opposition to this. The union movement generally needs to stand with communities to stop it. We need to say enough is enough. Just stop digging it up, stop making mess with it at Lucas Heights, and if you're going to do that, you need to clean it up in your own backyard, not dump it on the rest of Australia and then ask for international waste to come as well. It's a shame. We can stop this. We've had so much great activism from the Muckaty mob, from the Irrawanti. There's tradition here. We know our Indigenous communities are so strong. They will stop it, and we'll stand behind them from Sydney to make sure that happens.